You are listening to She Matters Podcast, episode number 10. What's up? I'm your host, Maggie Mejia. I am here to encourage any woman in Christ who has big dreams and wants to turn them into a big business. Embrace your true identity in Jesus and go after everything that is allotted to you. Can't wait to get into it. Check out this episode. Hey, what's up? So today I wanted to talk a little bit about self-sabotage. What is it? What causes it, and what we can do instead, right? So what is self-sabotage? Self-sabotage is first of all, it's a cycle, okay? I want you to know that whenever you find yourself in self-sabotage, meaning, let's say you wanted to lose weight and you find yourself eating something that you don't want to eat. And I'm not talking about like an open meal or an open snack. I'm talking about, eating the cookie for 7 days in a row. I'm talking about not missing 1 or 2 workouts because your body's too sore or you're in pain, or you're just working out 3 times a week and it just so happens that you have rest for 2 days in a row. I'm talking about you were working out consistently and now it's been a month, right? So self-sabotage is a cycle. It's something that when you find yourself doing it 9 out of 10 times, this is not the first time you've been doing it. It's a habit, it's a cycle, and it's something that you've been doing for quite a long time and haven't had either the willpower or the coaching, for whatever reason, you haven't been able to break that cycle of self-sabotage. So I'm hoping to help someone today with that specifically, because self-sabotage was something that I definitely had to overcome as in so many different areas. And I always say, any given day, I can fall right back into that cycle if I'm not aware. Awareness is always staple. Like that needs to be the foundation of every single thing you do when it comes to emotional health. The very first place to start is awareness. So I'm going to go through the cycle of self-sabotage, explain to you a little bit more what it is, and then we'll dive right into the practices. So the cycle of self-sabotage starts with disempowerment, okay? And all that means is that when somebody says something to you, however you get triggered, the reason you are triggered is because you feel disempowered. Example, let's say you walk into the office and you see your coworkers or whatever, and someone says, "Hey girl, you look really pretty today." We might say thank you out loud, but a part of us might get triggered if we either have low self-esteem, we're having a low confidence day, we'll have our own judgments about how we feel about ourselves. So a comment like, "Hey girl, you look pretty today," you're saying thank you on the outside, but part of us feels like, so I never look nice, like I don't dress nice, or I don't look nice. Like, why today? Why only today? And we'll completely bypass what the person is saying, right? But it's because we feel disempowered. In that moment, we were triggered. We made what our friend or coworker said mean something about ourselves. So instead of just taking her for what she said, "You look nice today," we made that sentence mean, "So I don't like looking nice any other day? Stop lying to me." Whatever sentence or whatever you make it mean, you're going to make it mean. That's where the disempowerment comes. But the reason you feel disempowered is because you feel like you're lacking something in the moment. And this is not just with a comment about your appearance. This is with everything, right? With everything in life. We could be having a hard time in our parenting and not realize that we're taking it out on ourselves with food, with overwatching TV. Maybe we want to isolate and keep ourselves away from everyone. Some of us overwork and we overdo it, right? Because we want to gain control back from what we feel we lack, whether that be, lack of position, a loss of love with our kids. Like, oh my gosh, how many of us freak out when our younger kids become teenagers and now they don't want to show with you, right? Now they're not trying to hear about mommy, and you make that mean something about you. You start making that mean that you lack something. So you will try to either be hyper vigilant and overwork yourself to try to prove something to yourself that you are a good mother and you are a good wife and you are a good student and you are a good businesswoman, you will overwork yourself. Believe me, I did this all the time. I would work myself into flare ups, okay? Simply just to prove that I was good enough to be in this space of entrepreneurship. So, awareness is simply noticing without judgment. So, the key to all of this is awareness. Awareness is noticing these thoughts without judgment. Don't judge yourself for having the thoughts, just notice them. Okay. So let's continue the cycle. Something happens, we feel disempowered because of the lack that we think we have in our identity. And now fear kicks in. And this fear is a fear of rejection, a fear of abandonment, a fear of a loss of something, a loss of time spent. It could be something as simple as that. And there's a fear that kicks in. And you can see this in many different ways. And some examples of that are you won't allow your child to do anything. You want them home all the time. Doesn't matter if they have the greatest friends in the world or if their friends are just out there up to nothing. A part of you doesn't want to see baby girl or baby boy grow because there's a fear of that rejection. This happens in business all the time as well. You have an online business that you don't go online for because of your fear of rejection. You know you have to market online. You know you have to be out there letting people know you're open for business. But the reason you're not going online, the reason you're not doing any of the things is because of that fear of rejection. It's because the infamous crickets come out, meaning that when you finally get brave enough, you overcome your fear, you throw a video up online, and then there's crickets. And no one is engaging with you, no one is responding. And then eventually you take the video down because now you're just like, looks so stupid. It's ridiculous. Nobody's even watching it. Nobody's even engaging with it. No one is interested. But really, it's your fear of rejection that is causing the next step of the cycle, which is anxiety. And this is the part that we normally realize. Like at this point, we already passed 4 stages, but this is the part that we start to realize because we can feel anxiety, right? We'll say fear is something else, meaning that you have to put a video up on social media, but instead you have a load of laundry you want to wash. We'll just look for these other distractions because that's what they are, right? Because you can get to that load of laundry any time of the day. Why are you choosing right now when you are about to go on video? And all of a sudden remember, oh, I have a load of laundry that I can put in. Oh, this house is so dirty. Let me start cleaning up this house. And this is tricky because this is self-sabotage at its finest because the brain will trick you into thinking you're doing something productive like laundry or cleaning your home rather than staying in alignment with your goals, putting yourself out there, embracing the fear, allowing it to pass through you because it does go away. It's just a surge of emotion at the moment. So that's what we'll do. And we'll think that we were super productive, but yet question, why isn't my business going anywhere? So the anxiety is the part that we feel. The anxiety is when we notice like, oh my gosh, I'm super anxious about something and I don't know why, right? You feel what you feel, but you don't know why you feel it. And then finally comes the self-sabotage. That's what I was talking about when you decide to go do something else. You decide to go cook. You decide to go clean. You decide to call a friend who's been going through a whole lot of stuff. And it'll make you feel really good to help someone else in need because then you'll feel more productive. But little do you know, you are self-sabotaging because you're choosing to do something else rather than what you said you were setting out to do. And the moment that happens, you have to question yourself, why? And that's how you become aware. Asking the question why helps you to become more aware of stuff just like this, okay? I just wanted to take a small break and see how are you doing with this episode. Here at SMU, we have different programs that suit your needs. Do you need self-study, group coaching, maybe one-on-one help? I'd love to be that coach for you. Go ahead and book a free consult and see what best suits your needs. I believe helping women in Christ make an income from home not only gives them time flexibility, but family flexibility. And I am super passionate about that. I want to see how I can help you. Go ahead, book that free consult, because I know that you will find something inside of our university that'll help you on this part of your journey. All right, back to the episode. So how do we get out of this cycle? If the first step of self-sabotage is disempowerment, then you have to ask yourself, how can I replace that with empowerment? Instead of feeling disempowered, how can I feel empowered even when someone makes a comment, but physiologically, I'm still triggered? Because I want you to know triggers don't change, right? So let me explain this, because when I say that triggers don't change, there's two things happening there. One, do the things that bother you from 10 years ago and now you've grown emotionally healthy, and let's just say, someone says something that used to trigger you and now it no longer triggers you. It doesn't bother you. Like, it's not that serious because you've grown from that place. So in that sense, you don't feel it as harshly as you used to feel it from back in the day. But the reason it's even in your awareness, that's what I'm talking about. The reason that it's even in your awareness when someone says something that used to really trigger you, the reason you feel that little pulse inside of you, like inside of your body, it's because physiologically your body wants to keep you safe. The fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, it wants to keep you safe. So I do want you to know that just because I still feel it, but it goes away a lot faster than it used to, then I want you to know, yes, that's progress, right? But we live in this flesh, and the flesh wants to react while the spirit wants to respond. Meaning that with our spirit, we've learned to take a minute. We've grown in such a way that we're no longer reacting, but we're reflecting and we're responding. So that's the first step, right? Triggers don't change. However, there is a way for you to feel empowered even if someone makes a comment that used to bother you. And that is the focus of abundance, where disempowerment focuses on lack. Empowerment and feeling empowered focuses on abundance, right? Abundance meaning God is good. I lack nothing. There's nothing I need to prove. There's nothing I need to be. There's nothing I need to try to seek validation for from someone else. It's understanding that every single human has their own life's experiences, their own filters they see life through, their own reactions, how they see themselves. When someone says something to you, we're human projectors. The way I see life, the way you see life, we filter this through our own distortions. I will get into a whole nother episode for that. But basically, our perspective of life is how we're looking at life, at people, at experiences, right? So when you focus on abundance, someone says something, you feel that small pulse, you can take a minute and say, wow, why did I feel that right now? Do I feel like I'm lacking anything, needing to prove anything, needing to feel validation for anything? And instead focus on abundance. When you really look at all the love that the Father has for you, how God is nothing but good to you, how God wants nothing but good for you, and that everything is filtered through His eyes when it comes to your life. And I can focus on that abundance and realize I lack nothing right now. This person has their own experiences, filters, perspectives, and that's okay. It also comes with allowing people to be wrong about you. Like not having to prove that you are who you say you are, right? This ain't Eminem. This ain't I am whatever you say I am, right? No more proving to other people who they say you are. You don't need to do that. It's about knowing who you are and then allowing people to be wrong about you. Let them have their own perspective. You're confident, you're focusing on abundance, you're growing. And baby girl, you will outgrow some people, and that's okay. That's okay. You don't have to feel guilty for outgrowing some people, right? All right, let's move on. You're feeling empowered by focusing on abundance. You feel the Father's love, right? That's that next step. So God is love. His love is for you. He wants nothing but good for you. You're focusing on everything He is to you, in you, right? So you're focusing in on that love. And then there comes a peace. And peace replaces that anxiety. It replaces that anxiety because now that you know that you don't have to prove anything, now that you're allowing for people to be wrong about you because you know who you are, now that's when the peace that surpasses all understanding is able to wash over you. Why? Because you have stopped trying to understand it. So many of us waste so much time and energy trying to understand why so and so has a problem with us, why so and so said this about us, why so and so doesn't want to call us anymore, why didn't I get invited to the party, why am I the mom who always has to deal with blah, 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 right? Fill in the blank. We live in always and never, and we have to let that go. Letting people be wrong about us is understanding always and never will no longer exist in our vocabulary. Because there's this always and never that we get into that keeps us, think about it. When has always and never, outside of the context of God always being for you and never leaving nor forsaking you, been good for you? So outside of that context, but for some reason, when we're in arguments with our man, when we are like telling our children or our friend, you always do this and you always do that and you never do this and you never do that, right? We got to let go of the absolutes if we're willing to grow. And so now you have that piece. And then what happens is you have to implement support where there was self-sabotage. So you have to be able to look for things. And these are the tips that I'm going to give you practically, because you have to be able to look for things that are going to give you support rather than you engaging in self-sabotage. So what are some things that you can practically do that'll give you support? When you are coming up with ideas, like literally take out a piece of paper and I want you to come up with ideas for these 4 parts of your being. There's the physical part of us, the spiritual part of us, the intellectual part of us, and the emotional part of us. That support doesn't need to incorporate like all things all the time. I don't want you to overwhelm yourself. I just want you to think of different ways that you know you can feel comforted. Like if we're thinking emotionally. So let's just say we're having issues in our parenting or we're having issues in our marriage and we're feeling unheard, unseen, right? Underappreciated. Let's say we're feeling that. We have to ask ourselves, right? We're going to notice, ask ourselves, how do I usually act out in self-sabotage when it comes to this area of my life? So in my motherhood, I might try to overperform. I might try to overdo it. In business, I might work myself into a flare up, right? Pumping out content for like 10 hours straight. And so you have to, like, without judgment, just notice what you do. Okay. Don't say, oh, I always do this. I hate that I do this. Do you know that when you say you hate that you do something, you're still judging yourself for doing it? Like your hate is the judgment. Just notice that you do it. Don't hate that you do it. You have to accept the fact that that's how you've been acting in self-sabotage. In order to change something, you have to be honest about where you are right now. Okay. So if I'm needing to feel comfort, and what I used to do is go run to sweets, go run to gluten-filled foods in particular, right? And then I have to write down what result did I get when I used to do that. And then instead come up with ways that I can still receive comfort for myself, because we have human emotional needs that need to be met. Just because food is how you met them before, restricting yourself from the cookie, depriving yourself of the cookie, That's why it only lasts but for so long. Because the moment that we feel deprivation, the moment that this flesh starts to feel restricted from something, oh, hell breaks loose. All hell breaks loose because that's our human nature, right? So, how else can I seek comfort? So, I have to tell myself, you need to take a nap. Like, I know that for some people, this might be like, no, I can't do naps. I can't. Listen, I'm telling you what works for me, and I'm telling you to come up with a list that works for you. But for me, I need to take a nap sometimes because I feel overwhelmed and I want to comfort myself, put a blanket on myself. Like, I'm not those nap takers that are like sleeping on top of the covers. I get all the way under the covers. Okay, honey? I want to feel something wrapped around me. I want to lay down. I want to sleep. And I will sleep for an hour. Yes, I will. An hour to an hour and a half, right? And some people just need 20 minutes. Sometimes when I'm stressed out, I also take a nap. But sometimes when I'm stressed out, I need to go outside. I need to get that energy out of my body because there's a lot pent up inside. So I'll go outside. I will go for a drive. I will put down the windows. Maybe I'll go to the mall, and you know those seats, like those massage seats that are in the middle of the mall as you're walking. I will sit down, throw $5 in that bad boy, and take 15 minutes of that chair just massaging me and just getting outside and going back home. Like, I just needed a minute, right? Sometimes physically, I need to lift weights. I remember when I first got my fibromyalgia coach. Shout out to Rachel. If you have not heard of Rachel Gerson, you have to check her out. Okay, it's called her Instagram is called Pain Free Kitchen. You have to check her out. So I remember when I first hired her, and when I went to her, I told her I was terrified of catching a flare up. Okay. I didn't want to catch a flare up because every time I tried to work out before, I would catch a flare up. And so, of course, with a lot of coaching, one day she tells me, I need you to just pick up that 30-pound dumbbell and just curl it once, just so that you can feel like a bad booty. Right? She was like, I'm telling you, it's gonna make you feel great. And I did it. And I was just like, you know what? I am gonna curl this 30-pound dumbbell. And I did it. No, she said squat. Yeah. I said, you know what? I am gonna squat this 30-pound dumbbell. And I did, and it was amazing. I did feel like a bad booty. I felt like a baddie for sure. For my spirit, sometimes like when I'm just feeling down or anything, sometimes I just listen to either Christian podcasts or I'll throw on some worship music. I'll pray, I'll read the word. Like, I want something to just fill my spirit, right? And if I want to be stimulated intellectually, TED Talks is the way to go. For me, I love TED Talks. Or I will bust out the whiteboard and just start going at it creatively, right? Because creativity stirs me up intellectually. It helps me to just get my juices flowing just because. So, in order to get yourself out of that self sabotaging cycle, those are the things that I want you to do. Make sure that you're looking at yourself in 4 parts, okay? Spirit, emotions, physical, and intellectual. Look at yourself in 4 parts. Ask yourself, how can I bring myself comfort in these 4 areas? How can I bring myself excitement? How can I bring myself celebration? Because sometimes we just need to celebrate and celebrate ourselves physically, celebrate ourselves emotionally, celebrate how far you've come spiritually. Like, what would that look like for you? Start writing those things down. Take yourself on dates. I still do it. I still go out and take myself out on dates. As a married woman, I still spend time with me alone. Yes, just me. Because you need that. The very first relationship you have is with God. The very next relationship you have is with yourself. So make sure it's a good one. I love you all so much, and I will see you guys next week. Hey, if you enjoyed today's episode, then you have to come check us out at She Matters University. It's my coaching program where I coach Christian women just like yourself on how to grow confident in life and business. We talk about everything from money mindset, time management, and systems to motherhood, wifehood, and discipleship. So if you're looking for a community to up-level your leadership and social selling skills, then come check us out at maggiemejia.com/join. That's Maggie Mejia, MEJIA.com/join. And I can't wait to coach you over there.